modern Horsens, Denmark. Year of our Lord 2024, home of the most Danish buildings God ever created, and honorary home of one of Denmark's greatest legends. But this is not the when that our story begins. The when is 1681, when the father of Denmark's greatest legend was born, some 600 years after the end of the Viking Age. A man out of time, a legend out of place. Horsens, city, eastern Jutland, Denmark. It lies at the head of Horsens Fjord, southwest of Rus. Historians claim it was founded in the 11th or 12th century-ish, but history doesn't really know. Vikings don't write shit down. But by the 12th century, Horsens was a fortified town with several monasteries, and those crackers write shit down all day. So I guess we just go with that date as if people didn't live here before, with all that Viking world domination thing going on 700 years earlier. We digress. The port received its first market charter in 1442, and in 1681 becomes the birthplace of Vitus Jonasson Bering, a Danish cartographer and explorer in Russian service, and an officer in the Russian Navy, and father of the legend of Daxi. Vitus Bering was known as a leader of 2 Russian expeditions, exploring the northeastern coast of the Asian continent, and from there, the western coast on the North American continent. The Bering Strait, the Bering Sea, Bering Island, the Bering Glacier, and Vitus Lake were all named in his honor. Tragedy struck in 1741, after the second expedition had discovered Alaska's Mount St. Elias on the 16th of July 1741. Ill with scurvy and exhaustion, Vitus Bering, driven to the brink of insanity, turned the ships and headed back towards port. A return journey that included the discovery of Kodiak Island. A storm separated the ships and a landing was made. Before anyone could stop him, Vitus stripped down naked and, according to all witnesses, ran stark mad into a roaming pack of ravenous hyena. But they did not rip him apart. As it turns out, hyena have a matriarchal society in which all female members rank higher than the males. And as it turns out, it just so happened that this alpha female took notice of something in special Vitus. Maybe it was his pure Viking madness and rage. Maybe it was fated. Regardless, she welcomed him. She allowed him to mount her, and they rode off into the wilds of the frozen Alaskan tundra. Vitus was to not be seen again for 4 months. During those months, the expedition soldiered on and made repairs and reprovisioned before it was set to embark once again. And on that day, upon the horizon, the emerging silhouette of one Vitus Bering, carrying a small bundle. At first, thought to be a hyena cub, it would soon be discovered that he held a child, an infant swaddled in animal hides, a child boy who would become known to the world as Daxi. As Vitus, his return heralded by his crew, attempted to board the newly refitted craft, a terrifying howling emerged from around them. She had returned for him. They attacked Vitus and snatched the infant child from him in an epic battle of life and death. But only Vitus would find death, succumb to his injuries on the 19th of December 1741. Vitus Bering died on the uninhabited island near the Kamchatka Peninsula, which was later given the name Bering Island. Daxi, on the other hand, his life had just begun. He would be raised by this hyena pack, taught in the ways of the Viking, in the cold, bitter tundra of the Alaskan wilderness, when he would grow a hatred of snow that would later shape his life. A child lost to time and to the world. Or was he? Years would pass. In Norse legend, to go berserk was to hamask, which translates as change form. Those who changed formed by entering berserkergang were considered hamrama, or shape-strong. In some cases, berserkers are described as undergoing drastic physical transformation, though this is no doubt in part hyperbole. Still, it's written, the hardest of men, with a touch of uncanny about a number of them. They were built and shaped more like trolls than human beings. We obviously don't need to get into the storied life of the legend of Daxi, for every child in the modern age is reared on tales and bedtime stories and knows of his mythic deeds. What child has not played Daxi and Indians growing up? But suffice it to say, when Daxi's hyena mother passed, he set out on a voyage to discover his father's homeland, ignorant of the ways of man's laws and ways of life. and what he discovered would awaken the slumbering warrior within and change the world forever. He landed in Russia, upon where he would travel west and bear witness the oppression of Stalin. From forced labor camps to the starvation of his own people, Daxi's rage grew within. The children Moscow still tell tales that he appeared at night, amidst blood-curdling howls, an image of beast and man. Despite the government cover-up that would follow, it was Daxi and Daxi alone who fought his way through Moscow and end Stalin's horrible regime. This is when he discovered the horror to the south of the even more atrocious reign of China's Mao Zedong, the starvation of billions. And there too, single-handedly, he would ravage his way through the Great Wall, through thousands of Mao's troops. None of them could stop him. Millions turned up to make sure it was true. His death is celebrated to this day. Daxi resumed his trek home. Finally arriving at the fjord of Horsens, he came across a young woman he would come to know as Nanix. They would fall in love. But the bitter cold of Denmark was too much for him to sustain. Together, they would travel south and disappear. Legend holds that they sought out warmer climates and settled in the deserts of Egypt. Somewhere, it is believed they sequestered themselves in a small apartment hidden away in a secret location. Others swear it is in the ass of the Sphinx itself, but no one dare enter to find out. It is thought they harvest spiders, so many damn spiders, as to be the sole source of silk in the world today. But they trust that if times call for it, and when people are suffering the most, that the warrior hyena Daxi will reawaken and free them once again. When asked by a reporter in 1949 why he would fight, solo and alone, the evil forces of Stalin and later Mao, he responded with a triumphant and proud meh. Today, the proud slogan of a city seeped in Viking history, Horsens, Med, Denmark, adopted Daxia as their son, his forever hometown. There, in his honorary birthplace, several statues remain in the heart of Horsens that secretly retain the legend of Daxia and Nanix, the mother of spiders. A statue of the hyena who stole off with baby Daxi and raised him in the wilds to train him in the ways of the Viking. And, of course, this one, proclaimed to be a more accurate depiction, an impressionist's rendition from a survivor who swears to have encountered Daxi one day in Ark. Horsens also honors his eternal beloved Nanix as well. She is beautifully rendered here in bronze, in what is believed to be the moment when Daxi first set eyes on her and fell in love, on the shore of the Horsens fjord, performing taxidermy on the unalived skeletal remains of her latest victim. Many argue that Daxi and his origin is a legend and myth only, and point to the lack of any evidence that hyenas have ever once existed in frozen-ass Alaska. However, as recently as 2006, a cursory glance at the Wikipedia page on hyena, one can see that a more recent molecular analysis agrees on the phylogenetic relationship between the 5 extant Hyenidae species. And sure enough, a line of hyena Daxi. When modern artificial intelligence is tasked with rendering an image of Daxi the legend, even it offers this chilling image. So what exactly is a Daxi? A man, a myth, a legend waiting for the world to catch up. Maybe he is that lingering hope within us all, that when pushed to extremes, we ourselves have the animal rage to see us through the worst of times. We may still not know where exactly in the world Daxi can be found today, but there is one mystery we have answered, that if you wish to catch a fleeting glimpse, and if it's Tuesday, look to the horizon at 7, because it means one thing, and one thing for sure. It's fucking game night.
It's Fukin game night.